There's something deeply mysterious about nostalgia. It creeps up on us in the quietest moments. A familiar smell, a sound, an old song playing faintly in the background. And suddenly, we're not here anymore. We're there, back in our childhood. Back when life felt softer, slower, lighter. Isn't it strange how those memories, even if imperfect, still feel like home? Not because everything was perfect back then, but because we were different. Before the weight of responsibility, before the noise of the world told us who we're supposed to be, before we learned to hide our emotions behind masks of maturity. Back then, we were alive in ways we've forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, childhood wasn't just a phase. It was a blueprint, a spiritual template, a reminder of how we were meant to live, with joy, with wonder, with presence. Let's begin with joy. When you were a child, joy wasn't something you chased. It was something you were. You didn't wait for the weekend to feel free. You didn't need a vacation to feel relaxed. You didn't earn your happiness through productivity. Happiness was your natural state. A bubble-blowing, puddle-jumping, crayon-streak-tearing kind of happiness. You could find joy in watching ants carry crumbs, in licking ice cream before it melted onto your fingers, in laughing until your belly hurt over something as silly as a knock-knock joke. We forget how unfiltered our joy once was, how we didn't overthink our laughter, our dancing, our spontaneous singing. There was no shame in joy, no self-consciousness, just pure, uninhibited presence. And here's the thing. That kind of joy didn't come from what we had, but from how we saw. A child's world is small, but their imagination is infinite. A cardboard box could be a spaceship. A hallway could become a racetrack. A backyard could be a whole kingdom. Somewhere along the way, we stopped playing. We told ourselves that imagination was childish, that joy needs to be earned, that fun is a reward for hard work, not a part of the work itself. But the truth is, joy never needed a reason. It was enough just to exist, just to be. Now let's talk about wonder. When you were little, everything was new. You experienced life like an explorer in a foreign land. You asked questions. So many questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do clouds sleep? Why do leaves fall? What's inside a dream? And you weren't embarrassed by not knowing. You were enchanted by the mystery. A caterpillar on a branch could steal your full attention for 10 minutes. The stars didn't just exist, they spoke to you. Each new experience was like unwrapping a present from the universe. But somewhere along the way, we stopped looking. We got used to the world. The stars became background noise. The moon just a rock in the sky. Trees just objects, not friends. We grew numb to magic. But let me ask you this. Did the world really lose its wonder? Or did we just stop paying attention? A child sees the world through the lens of awe. And that awe is still available to us. If we soften our gaze, if we start noticing again, noticing the miracle of being alive, noticing the breeze on our skin, the way sunlight dances through leaves, the silence between sounds. Wonder is not gone. It's just waiting for you to slow down and remember how to see. And finally, presence. This is perhaps the greatest gift childhood offers us. When you were a child, you were never halfway anywhere. If you were playing, you were playing. If you were eating, you were savoring. If you were crying, you were feeling. Completely. Authentically. There were no thoughts about yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries. The only moment that existed was now. Right now. You didn't check your watch. You didn't refresh notifications. You didn't multitask your way through life. You lived it fully. Even pain, even boredom. It was all experienced without resistance. But as we grew older, presence became a skill instead of a state. We started living in our heads more than in our hearts. We stopped being with what is and began obsessing over what should be. We built mental to-do lists. We worried about outcomes. We lost touch with the art of just being. But look around, mindfulness, breathwork, meditation, all the practices we now turn to as adults are attempts to return to what we once knew naturally as children. We are rediscovering what we never truly lost. That the now is the only place life actually happens. So what can childhood teach us? It teaches us that joy doesn't have to be earned, that wonder is always available, and that presence is not something we find, it's something we return to. This doesn't mean life was easier as a child. Many of us had difficult childhoods. But even in the midst of chaos, there were moments of clarity, play, laughter, imagination, where we were closer to truth than we are now. Not because of what was happening outside, but because of what we were connected to inside. That inner child still lives in you. They're still watching, still waiting, still whispering. Slow down, they say. Play a little. Look at the clouds again. Touch the grass. Dance without worrying who's watching. Say what you really feel. Let yourself feel everything. And most importantly, they're asking you not to forget. Not to forget the version of yourself who didn't need permission to be happy, who didn't wait for a perfect moment to laugh, who didn't need a reason to be fascinated, who didn't hide behind filters or fear or performance. That child, you, before the world told you who to become, still exists. And if you ever feel lost, if life feels heavy or meaningless or numb, that child is the compass. They always have been. So revisit them, speak to them. Let them guide you home to a life filled with joy, wonder, and presence. Not someday, but right here, right now.